did you see Elon already walked back his shit about Trump being in the Epstein files? Like, how weak is that? And he was just like, oh, I let my emotions get the better of me. Like, so it's like, wait, were you lying about that or what?
Yeah, it's so like Cat Turd, I agreed with Cat Turd when he said they can't just make up. He called him a pedophile. But apparently, apparently that's just like being a silly head in their world.
Well, I mean, like, that's the weird thing is because, like, Epstein, grooming, like every Democrat has been to Epstein Island. Like, every gay person is a groomer. Like, have you guys noticed, like, over the last couple months, there's been this weird shift in, like, sort of right-wing accounts who are taking, like, a sort of moderate view on Epstein where they were like,
oh, yeah.
Look, all the girls were 18. They wanted to be there. Like, he was just a shy guy who liked having parties. Like, this is just like some sort of moral hysteria over being attracted to teenage girls. I mean, I think of that in light of, sorry, there's just one other quick story. On Monday's show, I talked about how January 6th was one of the most successful political movements in American history, or at the very least, it's an example of what a riot can accomplish when a leadership of a political party backs the people doing it 100%. Just an addendum on that story. I saw a story today about one of the January 6th defendants who's been pardoned is now arguing that Trump's pardon also covers his child pornography charge because they discovered the child sex abuse material in his possession from the January 6th search warrant. So sort of fruit of the poison tree situation here.
I didn't think we were going to discuss Thomas's case on the show, so I just wanted to. Sorry, Thomas. I'll leave you to that one.
It's interesting, like their perspective on January 6th and like why those guys should be let out is like it didn't happen and like all the bad things that happened were like federal agents goading us. So I like the idea that it's an entrapment case with him downloading CP. Like a federal agent just started hanging out with him and was like, "Have you ever thought about how sexy kids are?" Do you know? Yeah. Do you know about the onion wrapper?
Well, the thing about the Epstein thing and the January 6th is like they have to ride the line where like it was entrapment, but it was also cool, and it was entrapment, but we did it, and you guys are pussies, and we're badasses, and also Epstein was not actually a pedophile unless, of course, he was hanging out with Democrats, and then of course he was a pedophile. It's the same kind of like pointing out the hypocrisy of it is fucking pointless at this point, but you see what I'm saying? Like they have to have it both ways. It can't, even though it can't be that thing.
Well, in a similar way to how January 6th was incredibly successful, one of the most successful, would you call it an intelligence operation? What would you call it? One of the most successful coups for Epstein's conspirators was killing him because it was so, at the time we thought this is so on the nose and obvious. Like why would they? I guess they felt there was no other way, but it's so like, what is everyone going to think now? And the answer is they're going to make Epstein kill himself Christmas sweaters and then make it a silly, funny meme.
Yeah.
Oh, Diddy Epstein.
Yeah.
That's what, and then in 4 years, they'll forget who that was and be like, was that the guy who fucked the hot girl?
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
So incredibly successful. We were wrong. That was the best move you could have done if you were like Leon Black in the Israeli government.
I like whenever like Dan Bongino or like Cash is like, we've looked over what was the Pam Bondi? We have agents viewing hundreds of hours of that was like a month ago. Like
Pam Bondi was the fucking AG of Florida when Epstein's ring was running at like during the peak years of it. 2 Trump administrations where they have someone who either like gave Epstein a sweetheart deal or just straight out did not prosecute him, being fully aware of all of this.
We have agents pouring over hundreds of hours of video material, and it's just like you finally make it out of Quantico. You know what I mean? Like you work your ass off. And you're like, I'm gonna stop bad guys, or like I'm gonna get into narco-terrorism, and you just get assigned to watching like Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Like you have to blur their penises out for the fucking for court purposes. That's your job.
Some guy's got the child pornography pulled up on one tab and he's watching House of Cards on the other. every time his boss comes by, he minimizes House of Cards and his child pornography on the screen. No, I've been watching this all day. I promise.
Well, but then Kash Patel goes on Rogan, and Rogan's like, so when are we going to see the videos? Like, they're all the videos of the thousands of people on Epstein Island, like, doing depraved things. And Kash Patel's response was like, I don't know. I haven't seen any of that.
Dude, he's
Like,
so
and if
awesome.
if we did, we're not going to release it because he's like, we don't want to re-victimize anyone. It reminds me of the way just this week when Israel arrested everyone on the Madlin, the yacht the flotilla that was going.
What are
to
they
Gaza
calling
with,
it? The selfie yacht?
The selfie yacht.
What?
The selfie yacht.
Yeah. What is?
That's their line. That's their line now. After spending a week going, we have to murder these fucking terrorists with missiles, and then like the last minute. Actually, they're gay.
Yes,
we don't
yeah.
They're just taking selfies.
Well, I mean, I bring it up because when they like interdicted them in international waters and then brought them to Israel, they made this big show about like we're forcing them to watch the real, raw, unedited October 7th footage so that they know how horrible what they're doing is, like trying to bring medicine and baby formula to the people we're killing. But like, I've heard about this October 7th footage over and over again, and it's always like being screened at like an Israeli consulate or military base, or being shown to like prisoners to punish them for what they did defying Israel. And it's like, if what's on this video is so self-evidently shocking and jaw-dropping that it will like change your point of view, why don't they just release it? Like, why do I have to like be invited to the Israeli consulate to watch this fucking movie when like everyone else has been watching the same movie, but just happening to different people. Like a new one comes out every day, and we all see it like as a matter of the public record.
I've been trying to catch a ticket to one of the screenings, but they sell out so fast. One of the Q&A ones.
I was thinking
more of a comment than a question.
The Smash compilation footage is just like 10 minutes of a compilation of a barista flipping the screen around to get people to tip. And they just they force everybody to watch. They're forcing people to watch it at fucking gunpoint. It's the worst thing anybody can ever watch. Well, what was there?
It's a slideshow of like special dry bone strips that he made just for the Israeli government.
But like, the idea is like, it would be shameful to the victims to like put this footage out there, and then the same with Kash Patel, who's the director of the FBI, being like, well, look, if there is evidence of like ghastly crimes being committed against these women, like we don't want to re-victimize them by like pursuing this case.
It's such a good line. Like, I have evidence that shows how evil my enemies are, but we're just not showing it because we the Israeli government, who we promoted the guy who ran the rape squad in the prison. We just respect the people involved too much. And Kash Patel said the most awesome thing too, on that same Rogan episode. He said, "Don't you think that if there was a video of like showing this and people breaking the law, that I wouldn't show it to you, me, Kash Patel?" And it's like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you? You're nobody. You don't.
All I know is that he's like
Kash Patel would tell the truth.
I don't know where the fuck this guy came from.
An internet radio show, and now you're like in charge of the FBI for some reason.
All I know is that he's cross-eyed and is a fan of hockey. That's the only thing I know about him.
So did you guys see how quickly they tried to bury that story and say it was bullshit that he's addicted to nightclubs? That he like barely shows up to work and just parties like every fucking night?
That's why his pupils look like that. It's the Molly.
Somebody said it like in a news interview, and then they immediately were like, "Oh, I walked that back. I have no evidence for this." But the story goes that he like shows up to his office like maybe, I don't know, 3 times a week at the most, and then he's just like gallivanting around town at nightclubs wearing his like camo FBI director MAGA hat. Which, look, if you kiss the ring and you did all this just to be an Indian guy who gets pussy from Northeastern college girls, you didn't have to work that hard, man. You could have just you could have just interned at Google and moved to Austin. It's fine. Like you don't have to do all of this. Like you don't have to fucking do that, man. You overdid.
I mean, like J. Edgar Hoover became director of the FBI just so he could be gay and cross-dress.
That dude,
that's the height of power that he had to achieve before he could do that.
Right. I feel honestly, man, he's a piece of shit, but I feel so bad for Mr. Hoover. Part of me does. Like, if he would have been born 50 years in the future, he would have just been cruising fucking Greenwich Village, like doing fucking ketamine and like snorting poppers, and he had to become the director of the FBI so he could do that. It makes me sad.
You had to do so much to be a gay guy. Like,
Dude, fucking
you had to like learn cryptography.
Alan Turing did all of that so that he could be gay.
yeah.
He was trying to figure out how to be gay. That was his whole formula.
That was the real enigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? So like, what is? Here's my thing. I guess since we're on the topic, kind of like, I'm interested to see how this walking back of the Epstein thing plays out for them, because they built like half their political identity on COVID and the other half on Epstein.
Yeah, on Epstein,
And
that everyone in charge of our government is doing like ritualized sexual abuse of children at like the highest levels. Like everyone in media, government, Hollywood, tech, they're all in on it, and they're all Diddy,
Right.
You know.
And so like if you
and like you're Jake, you brought up like the Epstein didn't kill himself, like the like T-shirts, like making it into a meme, like haha, Epstein didn't kill himself, ooh, like how naughty.
Yeah.
But like now they're just gonna break out those T-shirts, take it out of the bottom of the drawer, and start wearing them again. But like it's a call to justice.
Yes.
Like no, he was murdered, and that's an outrage.
Yeah, I think it is like I don't want to call it. I don't want to be so bold as to say it's like marching orders from somebody somewhere. But I am just like, dude, you can't like. I mean, I guess you can. It doesn't matter. But I've seen it create kind of a rift within MAGA world of like, hold on a minute. No, this guy trafficked people. And then some of the biggest movers and shakers in the media are like, no, he just liked to have sex with 18-year-old girls. And they're like,
yeah, which is cool and normal. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Jake, that's the thing, Jake. I don't think it needs to be like marching orders, but like people intuit were like the bleeding edge of like base dissident right-wing thought in this country right now is just being like, yeah, marrying a 15-year-old is the most natural, honest, and beautiful thing you could possibly do. There's nothing wrong in marrying a child if it's in a Catholic wedding ceremony.
Right, yeah.
Like these people are pushing the limits of just like making sexual predation of minors like legit,
right.
and like it's like a religious calling for them or something. And then the fact of like what a dud the Epstein file release was, like that stupid event that they had at the White House. And I think like the break comes from the people who were like really actually expected when Trump was going to get in power that the arrests were finally coming.
well, that's what I've seen.
And then they release a bunch of redacted documents everyone's already seen.
Yeah.
And it's a big fucking letdown. You're like, hey, what gives? I thought like our guy was in control. And then there's the other half of them who are just sort of like understands that this is, you know, a useful cudgel against Democrats because of their close relationship with Epstein. But like they know in their own head that they're like, God, I wish there was a Republican Epstein. Like, what am I doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're Stephen Miller, you're like, where the fuck is our guy?